we're really democratizing knowledge work here. And I think that's extremely exciting. So for the people who are able to start taking advantage of these and using these tools, and when I say that, I mean anyone, because no one's really that far ahead of anyone else.
Reach for growth, reach for more, performance, marketing, hardcore. Tune in, listen, hear the lore.
Welcome to episode 14 of Reach for Growth. I'm your host, Gamal. Listen, if you are into marketing, you have to watch this episode till the end. Why? Because this episode is about AI, Web3, and blockchain technologies for marketing. And I'm thrilled to have Colin here with me. Colin comes with an amazing experience, plus 20 years working with tech giants such as HubSpot, Salesforce, and Oracle. This wasn't enough for Colin. Apparently, he started his own startup. He raised more than $10 million, and currently his startup, Griffin AI, is actually working on integrating AI with blockchain into Web3 application, and he will tell us more about this. Colin, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much for having me. It's great to be here. That was quite an intro.
No, honestly, I missed a lot of things out of you. For example, he has his own podcast. He's a thought leader when it comes to AI and Web3, a lot of things. But luckily, Colin, you're going to tell me or take me through your journey so we can get to know you more.
Sure. Yeah. Well, I love your podcast. I'm always happy to, help the younger generation. I sort of mentor and sponsor several different people. So always try to help them out wherever I can because I got a lot of help along the way as well. Mm-hmm. So you want to hear my background?
Yeah, feel free, yeah.
Oh, it's a very long story, but I'll try and make it brief. So I was always a reasonably techie person. I always liked technology. My first job out of college was in Dell, selling computers, just sort of fell into it. Quickly went to a company called Oracle, which is the database giant. Standard sales job, but learning an awful lot about very, very complicated technical stuff. I suppose one of my talents that I realized reasonably early was making complex things simple to understand. And that's really, really key. These days, I call myself a storyteller because I think putting a story, and especially with marketing, that's really what it is. I basically jumped around a bit. I went to Salesforce for a while back in the days when you had to explain what cloud computing was because no one understood it. I was one of the first employees in HubSpot in Europe. Now they're absolutely massive and really learned all about inbound marketing and the way companies buy and the way to attract them, etc. Went back to Oracle then, ran the demand generation engine of the UK business, and it's that where I sort of found what I really love to do. I always said I didn't want to be in my mid-40s, which I am now, still, cold calling people trying to sling software. That was not my thing. But I found a role in a strategy team. It was called Programs, and it was my job to take the sales activities that the larger business wanted us to do and to get the sales guys to go out and talk to their customers about them. But there's a lot of very, very boring and extremely complex products. So because of my sales background and how I understood how things work, I was able to break things down simply, put programs in place and make the sales guys, do a better job than my counterparts in other regions. And that, I kind of found my first sort of niche area of success. I then came to Dubai. This was almost exactly 6 years ago. They were building a new business over here just in relation to sort of multi-cloud partners. So working with Microsoft and Amazon, etc. My wife is from Brazil and she couldn't stand the cold in Ireland where I'm from. She said, get me to somewhere sunny. And so we arrived in Dubai. And I was actually only here just over a year and COVID came and there was some changes in the business and bang, I got the axe. So I was reasonably new in Dubai, no job and no one else was hiring. And this was a very, very scary topic. I did manage to be lucky enough to get a job in a fintech company here, but I sort of thought I really want control of my own destiny. Now as I said, I really have an interest in a lot of technical stuff, blockchain and crypto. I found out about crypto in probably 2013, wanted to invest in it. Someone told me not to. And of course, I missed out on probably millions there.
Wave, yeah.
Exactly. But everybody has a story like that. Even the super wealthy people in crypto all have a story like that. But I got back in around 2016, 2017. I got a lot of people into the space. Just that's kind of what I do. I like to share and I like to, get people involved in this sort of stuff. And I joked that at one stage in our world, there was more crypto trading going on the sales floor than there was selling software. We were all really into it. We rode that beautiful wave of 2017 in the ICO, and then the sort of crash into 2018. And long story short, in around 2020, a buddy of mine called me up who I had got him into crypto, and he had, made a lot of money out of it. And he said he wanted to do something. And originally we had an idea to start a crypto hedge fund, of which I'd always thought about doing. And he was just like, let's do it. And I was like, what do you mean, let's do it? And he was like, well, let's do it. Calls me a week later going, I've just hired a consultant and he's going to tell us everything that, we need to know to do this. I was like, you're nuts. But, that's the kind of push I needed. To tangent a little bit, my father was an entrepreneur, having sort of great success in his early years and not so much in the other years. So I wanted to be an entrepreneur, but I never really wanted to take that massive risk because it is. Most fail. You got to live on small money for a while and things like that until you make a business success. I just never really knew exactly what I wanted to do. And, working in big companies is very safe. So eventually we just took this plunge. And people ask me, how did you do it? It wasn't like it just sort of happened gradually over a period of time. We were working on this on the side. And we went into this knowing nothing. I mean, really, I had no idea how to start a crypto business. I didn't know how to raise money. I didn't know how to launch a token, but we figured it out. And that's kind of one of the things I always like to get across to the younger people is, no one knows everything at the beginning. They just go in and they kind of figure it out. And if you talk to enough people and read enough books and online, etc., you will be able to make a go of it. And so we did it. And it was at a beautiful time where the metaverse craze was going absolutely bananas. And Mark Zuckerberg had just renamed the company to Meta, and NFTs were going crazy. So it was this thing where we started off trying to raise money. We spent 6 months approximately knocking on doors. Everyone thought we had a great idea and wanted to talk to us, but they didn't understand it. So were never going to get us money. And eventually we got introduced to a couple of people who went, I'll open you up to my networks of venture capitals who invest in Web3 and who understand. And straight away, the conversations are completely different. And as soon as I then refined my pitch and I got my story, the money just started rolling in. And as you say, I raised $10 million in 6 months. And at the time, I honestly didn't know that. I thought this was easy. It's not. I just got the timing right. It's a lot harder now. But the power of a really good story. We had some celebrities attached. We worked with Snoop Dogg, Alicia Keys, Robin Thicke. Metaverse was going crazy. We were, COVID had just come in. We were like, forget, COVID. We're going to bring everyone online. Everyone's going to come and have these experiences, sharing with their friends on the opposite side of the world. And this is the new wave. And we sort of did that. Now, the metaverse died off very quickly when AI came in, and so did NFTs. So the business didn't work out. But when ChatGPT came out, I mean, literally the day I saw it, I posted it online straight away. I was like, this is the most transformational technology the world has ever seen. And I decided that this is what I want to do. So a friend of mine had some tech around metaverse, like 3D avatars and motion capture and stuff. He came to me with an idea going, I want to do this. I said, no, why don't we take ChatGPT, bolt it on underneath and create a digital human? A conversational 3D avatar that brands can use, trained on their own data for customer service and support and, really helping with their brand. So that's what we did. And we spent 6 months on this. Built a very crude demo, but it works and it's really cool. And, I totally believe that within 3 years, customer service as a problem will be solved. Because the days of calling up Etisalat or whoever it is and trying to get someone on the end, and are they in a different country? Do they understand you? It's probably their first day that you can't communicate the problem. All of that will go away. That's going to be replaced by AI. And, marketing's got a lot of benefits from that. But then I kind of met my current founders. They were merging essentially the best of blockchain and AI agents. And AI agents is something that I'm very passionate about. I've been writing about on LinkedIn for at least a year. I think most other people are completely sleeping on it, but the way I like to describe it is that AI agents are going to bring AI to life. Right now, as incredible as it is, ChatGPT is a box. You type in a question, you get a text answer. And as remarkable as those answers are, that's really it. But from next year, we're going to start seeing AI agents really roll into the scene because they are able to do meaningful work. They are intelligent. They're not chatbots. They can do multi-step goal-oriented tasks. They can use tools. They can work together. They can wolf. You give it a goal, and they'll come back. And right now, that goal might be, do some research on this topic and put a research report together. And it can do a very good job of that. Or what else we do is it'll help you make your crypto transactions just by having a conversation, talking to it, not. But in the future, those goals are going to go from something that's, 10 minutes into a couple of hours into, and OpenAI, etc., are getting to this stage of where we are all going to have a PhD level digital assistant to do absolutely anything we want. So I'm really excited about that.
Yeah, this is very impressive. But honestly, I don't know. What is the difference between AI agent and normal ChatGPT?
Okay. Let me describe it a different way. Everyone's seen those chatbots, that you go onto some company and, you type in a question and it tries to understand it and it gives you some link and blah, blah, blah. But they're stupid. They're essentially, they're one shot. They will give you an answer to something. ChatGPT, it is incredible and it is amazing. And what it's doing is it's predicting the next token and the next word to give you, better answers than most people on almost everything, which is incredible. But that's a text answer. And sure, it can also create pictures and stuff like that, which is also amazing. But if you wanted it to plan a holiday for you and book everything using your credit card, it's not going to be able to do that. But agents will. Very soon. Okay, so we've just seen one called Computer Use from Anthropic.
Yeah.
And it
Claude,
can Claude, sorry. And it can control your screen.
Yes.
And but it does it in a very crude manner. It takes screenshots and then it works out what to do and it moves the mouse and then it does that. Super crude at the moment. Give it 12 months and these things will just be able to control your computer. There was a brilliant one that launched about 6 months ago. And as soon as it came out, I got in contact with the team because I just wanted to talk to them. It was called the Open Interpreter 01 Lite. And it was looked like a PowerPoint quicker, little device. And you could just talk to it. And they had an agent sitting on the desktop which could use your computer. So you could go into my Slack and send a message to Steve, tell him I'll be late in 10 minutes, but attach the PowerPoint that I put on my desktop yesterday at 2 p.m. And it'll figure that out and it'll go and do it. So when we come to other stuff, agents are going to be able to control our computer. The easiest way to think about it is if you had a virtual assistant, which many people do. I have one, he's brilliant. I farm out so much stuff to him. Anything that you can kind of farm out to a virtual assistant that's easy to understand to someone who hasn't been very, very ingrained in the operations of what you're doing, they will be able to do that. So go research this, compile a report, gather this data, consolidate it, run some numbers, write some code, whatever. AI agents are going to be able to do all of this sort of stuff. So Google recently announced that agents are coming into Gmail. And the example they gave is, all right, I'm getting my house redeveloped. And I got maybe 10 or 12 different quotes from all sorts of different builders over the last little while. And you can just ask Gmail, go in, find all of those emails, collate everything they said, put it into a spreadsheet and make recommendations as to who the best one to go with is. And it'll do that. And it creates all okay, this guy's going to cost this much. It's going to take this long, it's, and then his reviews are this, that, the other. Oh, I want a new yoga studio. Which ones are the ones in my area that have classes at this time that are within this budget? Like your own personal research assistant. And that's what AI agents are going to come. And eventually they're going to be able to do pretty much anything. I mean, we're going to have a team of digital specialists because all these agents will be specialized at one specific thing, but you'll be able to unleash a swarm of them to go and do a thing. Maybe you have a business idea. What it'll do is it'll go off and research that business idea. It'll make a business plan. Perhaps it'll craft you a marketing plan. It will even go off and set up a company for you, filling in all those forms, all that stuff that we hate, all the repetitive stuff, that's going to start to go away. Then it's going to start reaching out. Let's email. Let's figure out who's your ideal customer. What type of companies are these? Go on LinkedIn, find their email address. Let's send out some emails, and we're going to get some sales in. So I think it was Sam Altman that said in the future we will have $1 billion companies with one employee.
Yeah, like true. Like it's very scary for me. Whenever like I at first when I heard it the first time, like I knew that the future of work as we know it is going to totally change. But like
Completely.
they were talking about this going to be next 50 years or it's going to be the next 20 years. But 100% AI now has accelerated this big
It's going to
time.
be 10. I mean, the way I've described it in the past, I think it'll kind of take 5 years to really, really accelerate. But between 5 and 10 years, I think this world is going to change more than it has changed in its history before. Not just with AI, but AI embodied is robots. So we've all seen the robot that Elon Musk has made, Optimus, and then there's another one. Well, there's a bunch of them. There's some out of China. There's one called Uniqlo, and it's like $16,000, and the thing can do backflips and stuff. We're all gonna have our, just like we have a car, we're gonna have a robot, and it's gonna do stuff for us, and labor will change. So it really will. But especially when we get AGI or ASI. AGI is a computer that can do any knowledge work, anything that can be done online, it can do. Okay, and it'll do it much better and much faster than us. And then pair that with a robot, and things will change. Now, people are really, really scared about, oh my God, are all the jobs going to be lost and things like that? Okay, I don't know. Is the short answer. I think that yes, there's a definite possibility of significant upset, and we'll need basic income and all things like that. But I think it might dip down for a while, but then it's going to shoot up like this. Elon Musk says that the economy is essentially, a mixture of labor and money. And labor is finite because there's only so many of us. But when you double or triple the population with robots, then the economy seems to be pretty much infinite. And the best way I can describe it is that I think the combination of AI and robotics will have an effect on the world like the Gutenberg printing press. So several hundred years ago, before the printing press came out, books were hand-scribed by monks writing the Bible, and they cost thousands of dollars for a book. And then the printing press comes in and you can churn it out for a few dollars. I think the same is going to happen for goods and services and healthcare and food and hopefully housing and things like that. So everything will get orders of magnitude cheaper so that, working will be optional, and maybe we'll kind of solve poverty and everyone can kind of do anything you want. Now, there's another question around that where people go, oh, how do you get meaning if you don't have work? Well, I don't know about you. I can get meaning in lots of other things. If I, won the lottery tomorrow and I didn't have to work, I would have a dozen different hobbies that can keep me really interested that I'd love to do now, but I don't have the time because I got to work to put a roof over my head, like 99% of people out there. So I personally think that there's a very, very bright future ahead. It may be a bit rocky, but my advice to everyone else is that if you stay ahead of the game in AI and learn to use these tools, because the best way to do it is to be able to have a team of AI agents working for you. If you're running a business or you're, employee, whatever, you can be so much more productive. And I'm writing a book on this at the moment with a friend of mine. The message is that, taking advantage of these tools can give you such a massive productivity boost that you can really focus on doing the work you want and not the work you don't want. I mean, I spent almost all of today doing administration and updating reports, and I hate all this stuff. Put me in front of a person and let's talk and let's do a deal and let's make some business happen. That's what I like to do. That's the future I see, where our AI agents will do more of the stuff we don't like, leaving us to do more of the things we do want to do.
I would love to go more into that, but before this, allow me to challenge you a little bit. I don't know if you have seen what Google Gemini did reply to one of the students about, I guess he was asking the Gemini for a question or answer to an exam, and he told him to go kill yourself or something, and he started explaining
it said,
to him,
you are worthless and humans are a scourge on the... Well, what you need to understand is that currently everything that an AI outputs is a summary of everything that's read, which is everything on the internet. So will AI be sentient one day? I don't know, maybe. But I can tell you one thing. It will absolutely convince us that it is sentient long before it really is. It's not. It's. I mean, we've passed the Turing test. That's done now. I mean, you know, an AI can absolutely fool someone, and that came and went, and nothing big changed. Okay, I definitely think that, you know, as these AIs get smarter and they've read every book in the library or every published, and they've listened to every podcast and things like that, it will absolutely be able to easily convince you that it is real and it is sentient and it has feelings and it thinks this, that, and the other. But, you know, is it really? It's computer code. So I don't really see that. The problem is that, you know, will AI, right now AI just sits there waiting for you to ask it a question and it gives an answer. But, you know, when agents come and when it gets a little bit more, you know, up to these levels, will it run off and start doing its own stuff just because it wants to? And then will it decide that these humans are a pest on the earth and I'm going to wipe them out with some, you know, biohazard disease? Well, that's the thought. But, you know, Mark Andreessen from A16Z, one of the greatest thinkers in minds, he said AI is no more likely to want to kill you than your toaster. I think there's a few people out there really shouting doom and gloom, but I don't buy into it. I just don't really think that it's worth worrying about at this stage. There's always a chance, but like most of the others, like Elon Musk and Sam Altman, say that, you know, we're much more closer to 80% chance that it's going to bring a future of utopia, of abundance, of great abundance, where we will solve significant problems. I mean, I think it was Joe Rogan. I was just listening to him last night, and he was going, you know, people joke about this, and I'm exactly the same. He goes, let's have an AI president. You know, instead of some, you know, crazy person or that who's very hormonal and angry and has grudges over here, let's get the most completely logical and reasonable machine to evaluate all the data and make the best decisions and then advise us on that. And everyone's going to think that's ridiculous and things, but, you know, it's kind of coming.
This is crazy. This is basically, I guess, the concept of an enemy show called Psychopaths.
Right.
And I guess the whole idea is like, what happened if a city decided to give everything, like all the decision making toward an AI algorithm contains of the brains of very smart people. And they are all prosper, and they show you that the city is prosper. By the way, this is an old show. It's not new. And but then it shows also try to deep dive into the human psychology and how this will create another problem. But anyway, I'm really excited that you are still bullish in AI despite the Gemini thing that's happened. And I guess this is the only practical thing that we can do, at least for now. The game is being played, and the thing that we can do is actually to try to, how can we capitalize on it, because we cannot control to stop it, at least for now. But now, how can we use AI into our day-to-day usage? I guess what I captured from you is if we can look into our tasks into use cases and to try to divide it into maybe one use case, let's say, for example, creating content online. Instead, like, for example, to help your content creation or to try to get more content, for example, for ads, but more still on point with the brand, you can create an AI agent for that. And this will take maybe 20% of your day-to-day job, maybe as a marketeer. And you'd start thinking about maybe another use case, budgeting and forecasting, and you create an AI agent for that, and then you divide it, and then you'll end up that your 5 or 6 main use cases that you have as an employee or as a business owner being allocated to different AI agent. That's what I captured from you. Am I correct?
Yeah, I mean, the first thing is that if someone wants to do this today, that's not going to be easy. I mean, AI agents are really the product of developers right now. I'm not personally using a whole host of AI agents, but there are tools, and the agents will be productized and put out there, and you'll be able to use them. But next year, we're really going to see them explode. I think, you know, a couple of things you mentioned there. The most important thing that I always tell people is that AI thrives on data. So you have to give it as much data as possible. And what I do is you can use any of the AI meeting note takers, and I record all of my calls, and then I feed that into an AI. And now it knows all about my business. It knows everything about me. It knows how I pitch. So if I want to create some content, I can just drop me a one pager in the style that I do and it does it. Now, always needs some tweaks, but it's pretty good. It would save me hours. I'm not a great writer. I mean, I write all the time, but I'm just not a great writer. And it saves me so much. Also, I mean, in my role where I'm doing business development and partnerships and working with investors, just being able to push a button and just give it like a 2-sentence prompt and for it to spit out really fantastic notes covering everything with all of the actions, it makes you so much more productive. If I was doing that on my own, I'm writing notes, I'm not listening, it helps you stay there in the moment. But then what you do is you build a digital brain. And if you do this across your entire business and you use ChatGPT with teams, you can all of a sudden, get all of your data in there and then start to really spit out some really amazing stuff. There was one that just launched last week that I wrote about. It was called Autopilot. Okay, not Copilot, but Autopilot. And this one is designed so that you literally plug it into all of your Dropbox or your Teams or your databases or your Salesforce or anything like that. And it proactively just keeps on churning and churning away and then will just pop up with some intelligence or insights. And okay, we've made a competitive analysis here and we've made an alternative marketing strategy for you if you went into this new location. And that is going to be incredible. So there's tools like that coming out now that I think the whole point of this in their little ad is that they had a table much like this and they had like 6, middle-aged people around it who were consultants. And then over there they had like some guy in his late teens or whatever. And him with this software did the job of 6 consultants in like a fraction of the time. And what that does is that means that small businesses can suddenly really punch above their weight. A small business isn't going to be able to hire Capgemini or Ernst & Young for, a full audit on their business and, where they should go expand and what new products, but this can do it. So, we're really democratizing knowledge work here. And I think that's extremely exciting. So for the people who are able to start taking advantage of these and using these tools, and when I say that, I mean anyone, because no one's really that far ahead of anyone else. I mean,
True.
I know lots about this stuff, but I don't call myself an expert, and I don't think I think anyone else can be, right up to speed in a few months of just, deep diving and trying it out and using the tools and all that sort of stuff. I always say AI is a mindset change. It really is. I think, I come into contact with a lot of people all the time who just don't seem to get it, can't really conceptualize where this is going. If you do have that mindset change and you kind of understand how this is going to work, and we're in the age of exponential growth now. Everything is, so people think, oh yeah, ChatGPT is, it's not very good at that, and so I don't care about it. I was like, well, that's what's called a problem, and they're going to fix that problem because that's what we do in software. We fix problems, but we're fixing problems at an exponential rate now. So the models are getting extremely good at various things. So originally ChatGPT version 2 or whatever, let's say it was, writing at a very basic level. And then 3.5 comes out and it can write at a decent level, but still not amazing. And then 4 is even better. Then it's doing maths, then it's doing reasoning, then it's doing physics. And we're, by the end of next year, I'd say it'll basically be as good as any PhD in kind of any subject.
No, it's crazy. Like, I'll tell you, like, recently I created, I know zero code knowledge, zero. And with Claude, I was able to create a calculator.
Yeah.
And it works.
Yeah.
And I mean, I didn't have to study anything regarding to coding and all of that. And if it was like to traditional education, I would need at least to spend the first year of university just to learn basically how to code a calculator.
Yeah, absolutely. I did a very similar thing a little while ago. A friend of mine works in retail and they wanted to be able to have a calculator that puts their margins on top and then gives them tweak it. And they were like, how can I find a software company to build something and how much is it going to cost? And I was like, all right, I'll give it a go. And in about 20 minutes, I basically had it done just asking ChatGPT to spit out the HTML and CSS and then just tweak it a little bit and told it to change the colors. And it was brilliant. I've never really gone deep into that. I'm also not a coder. I mean, I used to build websites when I was a kid and I kind of still do, but I've never gone any deeper than that. You do need some sort of knowledge, but there's new tools out now. There's one called Replit, there's one called Cursor.
Yeah.
And it's ChatGPT for coders. I mean, they just describe what they want and it's,
The code will come and like,
yeah. So it's making these guys, and that's code, and that's where we are. But that same ability is going to come for kind of almost everything else you can think of.
True. Now, I want to take a little bit different angle regarding a lot of people when they hear about blockchain technology, or they think blockchain technology is exactly the same as crypto, and in their mind, it's all about Bitcoin and Ethereum and Solana and the prices and all of that. And so, first of all, for you, if you can just, in your knowledge, what is the difference between blockchain and what blockchain really is?
Well, blockchain is about having a piece of software on an immutable ledger, which means once the data is put on there, and it's what they do is, they collect all the data, they put it into a block, and then they lock that block in, and it becomes part of a chain because every single one is linked to the one before. And once that's locked in, it cannot be changed. Whereas any other software program anywhere in the world, someone can go in and make a change to that database. So it's immutable. It cannot be changed, and it's a public ledger. Bitcoin, I'm a big Bitcoin guy, more so than I am any of the others. Okay. And I think it is the first time that we've been able to put this magical piece of software out there that, does not require an intermediary. It just runs, and I can send money to you in a permissionless manner, and that we can, have this history of all of the transactions. And there only is 21 million Bitcoin. The issuance of it for the rest of time is completely fixed. It's the only thing that is completely inelastic to price or demand. And that's why Bitcoin is so special. So when it comes to, I suppose one of the important things is that blockchain is not the be all and end all to solve all software problems. I mean, 99% of software is still better off with Amazon or Microsoft, things like that. But there are very specific use cases that it makes it very, very good. So things like supply chain, logistics, things like that. You want to know that, this product arrived here and it left to there at this time, and you want to make sure that no one's messing with that. And then, I mean, there are tens of thousands of businesses that have now built on top of the blockchain, and you got all the, the layer ones like Solana and XRP and Cardano and all those sort of guys. And then you got the smaller ones, and now we've got meme coins, which is just, I hate them, but they're culture, they're digital culture, and that's it. And a lot of that is just people wanting to be part of this community while, putting some money on the table as well. So, I mean, for the most part, yeah, blockchain, crypto, Bitcoin should be thought of differently, but it is, most importantly, a technology that enables a fully decentralized distributed ledger where no one person controls it. And that really is the future. Because centralization has just caused us so many problems, especially in the banking ecosystem and lots of other places. And there's some really cool. A friend of mine's building a, decentralized platform for charity donations to be distributed, so that if you give 100 dirhams to UNICEF, that is actually going to be properly dispersed, and that some guy's not siphoning half of it off on the way, and then it gets to this place and they spent the money on X, Y, and Z, and that can all be seen in a public manner, and that's very important.
Yeah, I guess this is very interesting, but also I want to have your views about, I don't know if you heard about it, there was a coffee shop, I guess, few months back, that they used the blockchain technology in order to improve their retention by creating, I guess they called, I don't remember the name, it's about tea, like Popa tea, something like that. And they basically created a passport on Solana for their users, and basically when you purchase with them, they can track it, and then they actually, it's kind of a loyalty app, but on blockchain. What do you think of that? Is this something useful?
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. One of the other, if you talk about NFTs, which have a very bad rep, and for the most part, they're kind of, within reason deserved. But the technology behind NFTs is very, very important because really what it does is it solidifies digital value on the blockchain. And older people can't understand that something that is digital, that is easily replicable, has value. But younger people do understand. They grow up playing Roblox and spending Robux and in Fortnite and stuff, things like that, okay? I mean, there's kids who are more concerned with their appearance of their digital self than they are in their real self. And when it comes to, proof of attendance, ticketing, things like that, it's really, really important to have that, because you can have your own digital wallet and all of your digital assets can be in there. So whether it's a ticket to an online concert that you went to, or whether it's being part of this membership thing, or whether it's, I've bought 10 coffees and I need a free one, all of that can be put on there in a very interesting and decentralized manner. So I'm not familiar with that exact example, but there's a lot. I mean, there's airlines using using NFTs. I think it was Lufthansa did it. Coca-Cola have done a bunch. I know a guy who's head of tech for Coca-Cola. They've done a lot with ticketing and things like that. So, I mean, the problem about all of this, and I've been saying this for years, is that people in Web3 are way too focused on the technology itself, not the problem that it's solving or the better experience that it's delivering for their customers. And we need to start developing better tech that's using blockchain, but they don't care about it. You just get a better app. You get a better experience. They solve a problem that couldn't be solved before. And I'll give you an example. One example that I've seen of this recently. Do you know Polymarket? Polymarket is the betting site that became famous recently because the presidential election in the US, where Trump won by a landslide and won all the swing states, they predicted the exact results 2 weeks in advance. And all the pollsters, the traditional ones, the 538, all those sort of guys, they were, half, 50-50, and they were completely wrong. But the betting site was more accurate because they use something called the wisdom of crowds, and they put it out there and they go, you bet on what you think is going to be the most likely outcome. And when you put all of that together, it was very, very accurate. Now, they actually do that on the blockchain, but they don't talk about it. They just, you have the site there, you sign up, blah, 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 you put your money, your credit card in, and it all settles on the blockchain because that's the best way to do it. So I think that's a really good example. I think many more need to do that, but focus less on, the tech underneath and more on what that tech can actually do for people that care about, wanting a better experience.
And just if I want to close up with your advice or maybe your thoughts of how we can position ourselves as marketeers or as startups owners to take advantage of the revolution of AI and all of that. What do we need to do now in order to take?
Well, it's never been easier to stay up to date. That's the one thing. If it was 10 years ago and you were trying to stay up to date on all this sort of stuff, where do you go? What do you read? All this sort of stuff. Nowadays, there's so many podcasts. There's so many newsletters. And newsletters, what do? They summarize everything that's going on the previous day or week, and they cram it all into one. So, I mean, when I can, I try to, get up in the morning and look through my newsletters to see what's going on. Reddit is an amazing place because, you can pick your subject, you pick AI or you pick marketing or whatever it is, and you figure out, and all the latest stuff is there. There, you've obviously got Twitter. You just have to know the right people to find, and it's not too difficult. But it's never been easier to keep up to date with what's going on, and I think that's really important. And then I think the most important part is just curiosity. That's it. I mean, I do this stuff not because I'm pressured into it, because that's what I like to do. I'm not into sports. I don't play chess. I like AI. That's my thing. I'm just a nerd with this sort of stuff. But it's worked out quite well because it's, put me in a lot of places and jobs, and I get to do what I am really interested in and have conversations like this, which is one of the best parts. So just kind of staying curious. There's so many great podcasts about people talking about the greatest things. I mean, we get to see some of the world's most important business people talking between themselves, and you get to be a fly on the wall listening to this. And that's a really, really amazing thing. That was kind of very, very difficult 10 or more years ago. So I suppose the main thing is that right now it's still all pretty technical. The stuff coming out is not a lot, but give it another year or so and we're really going to see some products hitting the market that just work. They just do what you want. They will manage your marketing team, or they'll, do your social media, or they'll put a strategy together, or, they will, execute some research for you. So staying up to date with what's going on, and, I write about this on a daily basis on LinkedIn, and I try to cover all these tools. So keeping up to date on what's going on, and then just playing about, be curious and experiment. I mean, I probably don't do enough of it myself, but I do toy around with a few of these things just to see what they're like. I've tried all the models. I still always come back to ChatGPT, but that's just me. Lots of other people like the other ones. The image generation stuff. I mean, I always say today I can go ChatGPT, create me a invite for my birthday, and have space scene in the background and camels down the bottom, and put this text, and it'll do it. 2 years ago, I would have had to have years worth of Photoshop experience to achieve the same thing. That's the power that AI agents are going to bring across the entire ecosystem. The whole I don't know how to use that software is going to go away, because you know what you want done, you know what the outcome is, agents go do it and deliver it to me. And that is going to transform really the entire world. I think the whole agents thing, they have these things called vertical agents, which are these specializations. It's going to redefine the SaaS market and maybe be bigger than that as well.
Okay, I'm looking forward to it, honestly. And guys, just make sure to follow Colin. He shares a lot of valuable content, specifically on LinkedIn. That's I'm always there. We try to read and get more knowledge out of Colin regarding AI. So yeah, Colin, thank you so much for making it today. It was really a pleasure to talk to you today.
Yeah, thanks a lot. I appreciate it.
Reach for growth, reach for more. Performance marketing, hard and core. Tune in, listen.